Well, this gets to your book and the title of the book. Like this, the belief that, contrary to the Reagan mantra, government is the solution as opposed to government is the problem, is all
Right.
over the Biden economic policy, Bidenomics. That's all over. I mean, every facet of it, that he thinks he's the answer. He thinks he can step in to fix things, and everything he touches turns to gold. And that's his belief. And yet we have a whole host of economic data that proves exactly the opposite. So the title of your book, You Will Own Nothing, is tied to all of this, because this is a mentality not only that we see in Democratic leaders in our own country, but at the World Economic Forum and sort of these globalist leaders who think this is our future. Explain it.
Yeah, so when I first heard you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, it's floating around Twitter, I just assumed that it was taken out of context because so many things floating around social media are. And when I knew what I knew of the World Economic Forum at that point in time is it's an organization that is tied to the business and political elite. So I was like, there's no way that that organization with that kind of membership is going to be predicting the end of private property by 2030. And in this particular case, Megyn, it took very little research to find it. In fact, you can go on their Twitter, I guess it's x.com now, feed and find this video. And that is the number one prediction that they have. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And as somebody who has advocated for wealth creation opportunities for more than a quarter of a century now, I know that wealth comes from ownership. You have to own assets that have the ability to retain their value or to increase in value in order to gain wealth. So the idea that the people who are running businesses and running politics would be saying we're going to remove that opportunity was incredibly frightening to me. And then I started to dissect the language. The language is you'll own nothing. It's not will own nothing. The people who are making this prediction don't feel like they're a part of this this wonderful outcome that's going to happen. So they're tipping their hand in just the way that they're putting it out there. And then the idea that you'll be happy, that you should buy into this carefree lifestyle where the government takes care of everything. Joe Biden is the man. He's going to take care of you, Megyn. And if you buy into that, then it makes it much easier for them to affect. They don't have to put it on you by force. But as you well know, as a student of history, the people who haven't had property ownership, they have been very unfree. They have been very unhappy. In many cases, they have starved to death and lost their lives. So the idea that we're going to have some sort of utopia where there's no property ownership, it sounds like one of the isms. Pick your favorite one: communism, fascism, socialism, whatever it is. But it doesn't sound like a free market, and it doesn't sound like the American ideal.
Well, yeah, why can't I just move to North Korea or China? I don't have to wait. I can just have it tomorrow if I just pick up my suitcase and move. So what is the vision? I mean, explain it, because this is stuff our mutual friend Glenn Beck talks about a lot, I know. But what is the vision? Why do they want us to own nothing? So that they can control us, so that they can stop us from eating meat, they can save the planet, we will get rid of our SUVs. This is just a camel's nose under the tent to control everything.
I think it goes back to the reality around history and human nature. The fact is that the United States has been the center of the global financial universe for about 80 years now. And so for all of us, for all of us here, we can't think of anything else. It seems like we've always been through this period of prosperity and, where we've had the upper hand and we've reaped the benefits. But it really is quite a recent thing. Before us, it was the British that were in that pole position. And before the British, it was the Dutch. So this is a cycle that changes throughout history on a, every several generation basis. And so, when you start talking about a new financial world order, which also sounds very conspiratorial, it isn't. It's sort of an outgrowth of history. And Joe Biden himself has mentioned this. He talked to the Business Roundtable, which is the CEOs of all the major publicly traded companies and biggest companies in the U.S. on March 21st, 2022. You can find this on the White House's website. And he says that the financial order shifts every few generations. And then he says there's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. And I'm assuming, since he was talking to that audience, it meant that, him as a representative of the political class and the business leaders, and that they're the ones that are going to be in charge. So if you have a scenario, Megyn, where the financial order is shifting on a global basis, and you are people who are very wealthy and powerful, what do? Do you sit back and go, well, I just hope that this works out for me. I hope that, when things shift, I'm still on top. Or do you go, oh no, things are changing. We better ensure that we're on top, that we stay in power, that we retain all of this wealth. And, if that comes at the expense of everybody else not having it, so be it. But we don't care about that. We just care about our own power, myself, my cronies, and locking that down. And so I really think that that's the catalyst here. It's not necessarily that you have a cabal of people who are sitting around like Dr. Evil with, we've got to control everything. I think it's really driven by the basic human nature, that desire to hang on to the power and the wealth as things are shifting from a global basis. They see it coming and they want to make sure they're on top.